We now have a fresh GitHub repo and can add files and make changes to those files, and Git will track it for us. As I've said before, GitHub is built upon the version control system called Git. Version control systems let you record the history of all the changes you make to a project, so you can go back to earlier versions if you make a mistake. In Git, a record of a change is called a commit. Generally, anytime you make a small but significant change to your project files, you'll record that change or commit it. Let's make a change to a file and commit it. I'll click Open this repository to locate my repository. Then open the project in a text editor. I'll go to the README file, delete this line, and type it in a nicer format. Then I'll save and go back to GitHub Desktop. On the left, in the Changes tab, you'll see a list of all the files that have been changed since the last commit, as well as the individual changes that were made on the right. Deletions are highlighted in red, and additions are highlighted in green. In the History tab, you'll see a list of all the commits you've made to a project, the files that were changed as part of the commit, and the additions and deletions that were made to those files. Click back to the Changes tab, and you can see now that there's one changed file. To commit this change, I'll add a commit message here where it says Summary. The commit message should be a succinct summary of the changes I've made since my last commit. In this case, I'll type Updated title of README file. Then I'll click Commit to Master. Let's check our work on github.com. You can actually open the file and view it here. As you can see, my change hasn't been made yet. That's because I need to go back to GitHub Desktop and click Push Origin. This will make sure that the latest version of the repo that I have stored locally on my computer matches the version that exists on github.com. Now I can go back to github.com, refresh, and view my changes. Let's add a couple of files to this repo. For example, say I wanted to add some Tech Degree starter files. I can go to my Tech Degree homepage, download the starter files, unzip this, and move the contents of this folder into my Tech Degree project folder. Now I can go back to GitHub Desktop, and I can see I have two changed files, or the files I added, here on the left. To commit these changes and put them onto GitHub, I can add a commit message. This time I'll put added project starter files. And I can also add a lengthier description if I want to, but that's optional, and click Commit to Master. Then I'll click Push Origin. Now if I go back to github.com, refresh, I can see all of the new files I just added. If you ever go to GitHub and don't see your changes, double check and make sure you've included a commit message, committed to master, and clicked Push to Origin. You'll want to make sure that any unsaved changes have been committed and synced with your GitHub repo before you submit your Tech Degree projects for grading, because your Tech Degree project reviewer won't be able to see any changes you make after you submit. Every time you update the project on your computer, you'll commit changes and sync them with GitHub. It's as easy as that. Now you're ready to start submitting Tech Degree projects and building up a portfolio of work on GitHub. What if you already have a completed or partially completed project that you want to make into a repository and put onto GitHub? As I said in a previous video, creating your repo first is a good habit to get into, and I recommend it. But sometimes you'll need to do it this way because you forgot to create a repo or starting with some starter files, things like that. Here I have a Tech Degree project that I've been working on. To add this project to GitHub Desktop as a repository, go to GitHub Desktop and choose File, New Repository. The new repository window will pop up. Now this is very important. If you're turning an existing project folder into a Git repository, the repository name must exactly match the name of your project folder. And here, where it says local path, the path should point to the parent folder where your project folder lives. In my case, the parent folder is that folder called Code that houses all of my tech degree projects. So I'll give this the name Tech Degree Project 4. And for now, the description will be, this is Tech Degree Project 4. This project has some JavaScript in it, so I'll choose the node option for the gitignore file. And I'll click Create Repository. Notice this drop-down menu shows us a list of all our repositories. Here's the project we just added, but it's listed in the Other category instead of the GitHub category. That's because we haven't published it to GitHub yet. To publish, click Publish Repository. Unclick Keep this code private, and click Publish Repository. Now go to github.com and you'll see the folder and all of its files are now on GitHub. We can now make changes and add and delete files all we want, as well as make commits and push those commits to GitHub.
If you're interested in looking into Git and GitHub a little more, check out the teacher's notes for other Treehouse courses and workshops that cover them in more depth. There's a lot more you can do with GitHub, but it all begins with publishing your project to a GitHub repository. Thanks for watching and have fun sharing your code.